Today, AirVenture at Oshkosh, Wisconsin, is the largest aviation gathering in the world, with more than 500,000 EAA members and aviation enthusiasts in attendance each year. But long before Paul Poberezny began to dream about building and flying airplanes, another group of early pioneers were dreaming of building and flying their own aircraft. It took place in an unlikely area of Oregon called the Willamette Valley, a place known for its rainy and often foggy weather. After the turn of the century, Oregon was a hotbed of aviation activities, and early aviators came to show off their new machines and instill their love of flying with new pilots. In 1921, thinking that aviation could become a new source of transportation, Oregon was the first state to create a Department of Aviation and issue pilot certificates and Oregon license plates to aircraft. These activities inspired locals to want to fly, so they set out to design and build their own aircraft. Few had any engineering experience, but some worked in the lumber mills and understood mechanical devices and machinery. They also had an almost endless supply of spruce, necessary for building strong, lightweight structures. They would often share information and check over new designs, components, and drawings. If they ran out of nails, they would use staples or screws. They made do with what they had. It worked. These early aviation pioneers set out to build aircraft and establish a flying field near Beaverton, Oregon. Due to their remote location, most of their activities went unnoticed. But soon, word reached Washington of the Oregon pilots who were building and flying without supervision or federal regulations. The feds sent agents and inspectors to investigate, and then ordered them to comply or shut down. The agents were met with great resistance, and even physical fistfights erupted. Oregon aircraft continued to sport metal license plates on their cowlings, aggravating the situation and further frustrating Washington. These renegade but determined pilots became known as the Beaverton Outlaws, a name they carried with great pride. And the state of Oregon continued to issue airworthiness certificates in spite of Washington's desire to regulate Oregon-based aircraft. One outlaw, George Bogardus, was determined to prove that home-built airplanes could be just as safe as factory-built. He flew his home-built aircraft called Lil GB 3,000 miles to Washington to meet with the feds to prove it. His historic flight across the continent demonstrated that these were capable aircraft. Eventually, the feds adopted outlines and regulations based partly on Bogardus's recommended notes, creating new regulations for home-built aircraft, vindicating the struggle of the outlaws before World War II. The Oregon Aviation History Center in Cottage Grove contains the largest collection of archival materials and artifacts about the Oregon Outlaws. Its comprehensive library houses thousands of books, documents, photographs, drawings of original aircraft designs, engines, and personal accounts, as well as numerous original aircraft designed, built, and flown by the Oregon Outlaws.
We have the world's largest collection of Oregon home builds, as well we should, and that we have about 6 or 7 original Oregon home builds that flew under license plates and Oregon law. Les Long was probably our most well-known Oregon designer builder. He actually designed 3 significant airplanes. He had a low-wing design, a mid-wing design like this, and a high-wing design. So we have a great lineage there off of what Les Long designed. George Yates was the designer and inventor of this system of building. As you can see, it's what we would think of as basket weave, I guess, but he called it geodetic. And he created a structure that was, from his own words, stronger and lighter than anything else that could be built and developed out of products that we had available. Walt Rupert was one of the Beaverton Outlaws, and the Rupert Special was one of those Oregon home builds, flew on an Oregon license plate, that also held records. It had the time to climb record to 10,000 feet. This was an amazing little airplane with a 40-horse Thompson on it. It was quite the performer. The whole thing was extremely well done.
Next door, one of the original aircraft designs is undergoing restoration. The museum plans to bring that aircraft to Oshkosh as part of a 100-year anniversary celebrating Oregon aviation, paying tribute to the Oregon Outlaws, and recognizing Bogardus's historic flight. With a flock of feathered friends pointing the way, just up the valley a short drive, one of the Outlaws' original wooden hangars still survives today. Inside this historic site, something innovative and exciting is taking place. Teen Flight, a program supported by the Van Grunsven brothers, two aviation icons, continue to carry on the legacy of the Oregon Outlaws.
This is a project called Teen Flight, where we teach high school age kids how to build light aircraft from kits. And the folks gathering around here are volunteer mentors, primarily people who have built airplanes themselves.
But you do need to make sure that you keep that tool straight up and down on the holes. Okay?
There's about 14 in the class. We may have 11 or 12 here today. 4 different teams divided up to work under the various leaders, mentors, on different segments of the airplane. It is really a great program, and for the kids that apply themselves, they gain a lot, particularly if they go into the technical fields. And we're starting to get feedback from our former students that are now college graduates or beyond, and the benefits that they've had, what this has done to their resume or their CV as they go forward.
So, our story ends, full circle. One generation passing along their knowledge and what they've learned to the next generation. Something still practiced at EAA today. Freedoms pilots and homebuilders enjoy today might not be the same had it not been for the small but tenacious band of Oregon aviators who dared to build and fly their own aircraft. Their unyielding will to succeed has led to almost unlimited opportunities, not only for homebuilders, but for aviators and people throughout the world who dream to fly. All the resources are in place to tell this incredible story. Please join us in this effort and become a sponsor. Help us bring this incredible aviation story to life by making a gift, giving the Oregon Outlaws the wings it needs to fly.